All right, we've got another short one for you today. We're getting some short letters. He's not leaving his quotes at the end, but there's still a lot of wisdom in these things, and sometimes a little more compact is good. Maybe we don't get as bored. Our attention spans are somewhat limited. So this is letter 38 on a quiet conversation. He says here in verse 1, you are right when you urge that we increase our mutual traffic in letters. But the greatest benefit is to be derived from conversation because it creeps by degrees into the soul. Lectures prepared beforehand and spouted in the presence of a throng have in them more noise but less intimacy. Philosophy is good advice, and no one can give advice at the top of his lungs. Of course, we must sometimes also make use of these harangues, if I may so call them, when a doubting member needs to be spurred on. But when the aim is to make a man learn and not merely to make him wish to learn, we must have recourse to the low-tone words of conversation. They enter more easily and stick in the memory, for we do not need many words, but rather effective words. So what he's saying here is he's saying that, Lucilius is saying, hey, we need to write more letters. And he's like, okay, yeah, you're right about this. But he's saying, look, here's the benefit, the greatest benefit that you're going to get. Okay, it's going to be from conversations that we have when we talk together. Right? Because it creeps into the soul, right? As you have conversations with people, you can go back and forth, right? These conversations. You can say, oh, well, why do you think this? And it goes a little bit deeper, okay? And he's saying that, when you get up and give a lecture or you listen to someone giving a lecture and things like that, it's fine, right? It's good advice, but you can't really give good advice at the top of your lungs, just shouting at people. It will spur some people to want to learn, to want to learn a thing, but there's not much learning that's happening in that place. But it can make someone feel the urge, and sometimes that is necessary. But it's better that we just have some conversations, right? That these enter the mind more easily. They stick in the memory, okay? We don't actually need a lot of words. We don't need to have a long speech, but we need effective words. We need to say the right things at the right time in response to what people say. And that's where the conversation comes in. He says in verse 2, words should be scattered like seed, no matter how small the seed may be. If it has once found favorable ground, it unfolds its strength and from an insignificant thing spreads to its greatest growth. Reason grows in the same way. It is not large to the outward view, but increases as it does its work. Few words are spoken, but if the mind has truly caught them, they come into their strength and spring up. Yes, precepts and seeds have the same quality. They produce much, and yet they are slight things. Only, as I said, let a favorable mind receive and assimilate them. Then of itself the mind also will produce bounteously, in turn, giving back more than is received. Okay, so what he's saying here is he's comparing reason and philosophy to seeds, right? And he's saying that you have this small seed, and if it finds favorable ground, right, a good place to grow, it becomes big. Okay, it grows into this big thing, and he's saying that reason is the same way. Okay, to looking at it from the outward view, it doesn't seem like a lot, right? Some simple thing, few words. Okay, but if you truly catch this, if you truly understand them, then it also grows and comes into its strength, right? He's saying that the precepts and the seeds, like the reason and the seeds, they have the same quality. They produce much, okay? And they're only small things, right? But he said, let a favorable mind assimilate them, receive them, assimilate them. Because then of that mind, it will also produce a whole bunch. It'll produce way more than it has received, right? So as you distribute these seeds of wisdom, of reason, of logic, and someone really gets them, it's going to produce a huge amount of growth in their life. And I know this to be true in my own life. I mean, Stoic philosophy influenced me more than just about anything in life. As I started reading the words of Seneca and understanding these things, it changed my worldview completely to the point where I got rid of the victim mindset, and so many things came from those simple concepts. And it's not that complicated, right? All of these things that we're talking about, we're talking about these things, we're reading these letters, but the concepts are really simple. There's this idea of separating yourself from the external, of managing your emotions, not being tied, not wanting all these things that you don't have, not trying to hold on to the things that you do have, right? Instead, being content with what nature requires of you. This idea of facing death, of thinking about this and reasoning it through. These are important concepts, but they're fairly simple. But if they take hold in your mind, they'll produce massive results in your life. You will change the way you interact with people, the way that you run your life. I will see you tomorrow.